My name is Fanni Kisbéri. I attend 10D here in Széchenyi. This is my third year here because I attended the language preparation course, which was really beneficial, by the way. So I've been learning English for 11 years now, which is the majority of my lifetime. So today I would like to talk about social injustice because I think it's a really current topic and it's worth talking about. So at first I would like to talk about the outline of my presentation. At first I'm going to tell you what social injustice really means, and then go into detail with the different topics. And at the end I'm gonna encourage you to do something about it as an individual. So my first question is, what really social injustice is? So the scientific definition is it's a relative concept about the claimed unfairness or injustice of a society in its divisions of rewards and burdens and other incidental inequalities based on a user's worldview or humanity. Basically, you're being treated differently just because of who you are. A really great synonym I found is immorality, and it's based on the distribution of advantages and disadvantages. The first social injustice is racism. It's really current in 2020 especially. It's a pretty complicated topic. Racism is the belief that humans may be divided into separate and exclusive biological entities called races. It's the belief that there is a causal link between inherited physical traits and traits of personality, intellect, morality, and other cultural and behavioral features. And lastly, that some races are innately superior to others. It is also political, economic, or legal institutions or systems that engage in or perpetuate discrimination on the basis of race or otherwise reinforce racial inequalities. In 2020, we saw the headlines of #Black Lives Matter. It actually wasn't created in 2020. This political movement was created in 2013 by Black activists in response to the acquittal of Trayvon Martin's murderer, George Zimmerman. And it re-entered the national headlines in 2020 connected to the murder of George Floyd. An estimated amount of 15 to 26 million people participated in the movement just in the USA. It was really popular around the world. And this actually is the most attended political movement in history. The movement mostly comprises many views and broad array of demands, but they center on criminal justice reform and police brutality. My next topic is ageism. Ageism is basically when someone treats you unfairly because of your age. A great example is the way that older people are represented in the media. And of course, it can have a wider impact on the public's attitudes. If you experience ageism, it can impact on your confidence, job prospects, financial situation, and the overall quality of your life. It is really important that ageism is tackled to make sure that nobody loses out just because their age. There are 5 common examples of ageism attributed forgetting to our age. Everyone forgets things, not just old people. 90% of marketing dollars target people younger than 50. This doesn't include elderly, who can be really hurt by this. The good old saying, old people go there. There are no such thing as old people places. Everyone can do whatever they feel like doing. Benevolent ageism refers to assigning protection or benefits to people because older ages seem to identify need. And this harms the ability of elderly. And emphasis on looming healthcare crisis as the boomers age. Ableism is our next huge topic. It's the discrimination of and social prejudice against people with disabilities based on the belief that typical abilities are superior. The assumption that disabled people need fixing and they are less than average people. And there are many harmful stereotypes, misconceptions, and generalizations of people with disabilities. There are 2 types of ableism, personal and systemic. The personal one is a bit more simple. There are 3 main points of it. The first one is feeling instinctively uncomfortable around disabled people or anyone who seems strange in ways that might be connected to a disability of some kind. The second one is holding stereotypical views about disabled people in general or about certain subgroups of disabled people. And the last one is resenting disabled people for advantages or privileges you think they have as a group. For example, they have bigger parking spaces and closer to the store. Systemic ableism is a bit more difficult, but I tried to simplify it to 3 points as well. The first one is laws and regulations that restrict the freedom and the quality of people with disabilities. The second is social policy that seeks to care for disabled people through intensive supervision, protection, and isolation from everyday society. This basically excludes them from everyday life. And the last one is policies and practices that seek to reduce or eliminate disability from society, not just as a benefit to an individual disabled person, but as a perceived benefit to society as a whole. Of course, it's really harmful. There are two main schools of belief, of ableist belief, and they are actually on a completely different part of the scale. The first one is that disabled people are unfortunate, yes, but innocent victims of circumstance who should be loved, cared for, and shielded from harm. And the second one is the opposite, that disabled people are naturally inferior, disagreeable, and at the same time beneficiaries or unfair and unjustified generosity and social protection. Sexism, also a really current topic, is the prejudice or discrimination based on one's sex or gender. It can affect, of course, anyone, but mostly young girls and women. It imposes limits on what men and boys can and should do and what women and girls can and should do. There are many gender roles and stereotypes, and it's, of course, really harmful, mostly for kids. Is the belief that one gender is superior to another one. And in recent years, it had been expanded to include the oppression of any sex, including men, boys, intersexual, and transgender people. There are different types of sex discrimination. The first one is a direct one, when someone calls you just, for example, for being transgender or a woman. The second one is indirect discrimination. It's not intentional, but it's so in our society that it can be missed. And the third one is harassment. It's physical, and it's probably the most brutal one. And the last one is victimization. It occurs when someone tries to stand up for someone else, but they are being belittled just because of it. Talking about discriminations, discrimination is the unfair or prejudicial treatment of people and groups based on characteristics such as race, gender, age, or sexual orientation. I talked about these. Its basis is fear and misunderstanding. This is why education has a key role in this. And little kids learn from their parents, peers, and the observations they make. This is why it's important to have a healthy society where they can grow up. There are a few examples of discrimination. These are less known than the other ones. For example, status as a parent, pregnancy, religious discrimination, which I will go into detail in the next part, and national origin, of course. In 2017, there was a Muslim travel ban in the US. Basically, former President Trump signed an executive order banning people from 6 Muslim-majority countries from entering the USA. Many protests were held against this order, and after being temporarily stopped multiple times, the US Supreme Court overturned the block in June 2020. So this was present for 3 years, and it destroyed families, basically, and many people refer to this as a license to discriminate. A migrant crisis was a huge topic in 2015 in Europe. More people than ever before live in a different country than the one they were born in. They have many challenges during migration, for example, accessing education, healthcare, job opportunities, and other basic resources. And there are many reasons for escaping your country, but the two main ones are escaping conflicts in their home country and natural disasters, which occur more and more because of global warming. There are some graphs concerning the European migrant crisis. This one is especially interesting because Hungary led this. It's asylum applications per 100,000 local population, and us in Sweden were in the lead. Most people escape from Syria and Afghanistan, and these are the routes they come in. And of course, the most important part, what can you do? How can you help this situation? The first one, educate yourself on a particular movement. Work on your own habits and beliefs. Research the local presence. Take action in your own community. Go to a protest or demonstration. Of course, these don't happen that often, but if you can attend, it's great to do so. Use social media, and not just for dumb stuff. And volunteer your time because it's the most rewarding thing ever. And I would like to say goodbye with this beautiful quote by Martin Luther King Jr. He said, "Returning hate for hate multiplies hate, adding deeper darkness to a night already devoid of stars. Darkness cannot drive out of darkness, only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out of hate, only love can do that." Thank you for your attention.